Raman is very particular about how he approaches his work and has many strong opinions about how his science should look. He was all had that mindset that he wants to give, like handing over the responsibility to his wife. So that was his mindset. So he studied her face for a moment to detect, if possible, some encouragement. But she looked businesslike and detached like a zoologist watching an ant. Hi, hello everyone. Myself, Bishobarani, faculty in English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence in MYSURU. Once again, welcome back to my session 9 for 4th Sem BCom English students. Unit 1, the novel The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan. So in my previous session, I explained about the last pages of the novel written by the wonderful author R.K. Narayan, The Painter of Science. So in today's session, I'll be explaining about the symbols, the allegory and the motifs of this novel, The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan. In the previous session, I explained about the last pages, that is pages from 87 to 111, the summary and analysis. So with that, I have completed explaining the summary and analysis of the pages of the novel The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan. So moving ahead, the important concept, that is the symbols, allegory and motifs, and also the metaphors and similes we come across in this novel, The Painter of Science. So in today's session, I'll be explaining about some of the symbols that are used in this novel and the allegory and the motifs, the metaphors and the similes. Moving on to the symbols and allegory and motifs, sign, symbol. I think all of us know signs are recurring symbol throughout the book. For example, Raman is very particular about how he approaches his work and has many strong opinions about how his signs should look. We all know from this novel, Raman, the protagonist of the novel, is a sign perfectionist sign painter, and he knew very well as how his sign painting should be. So he had been well versed in calligraphy and he was very much aware of the quality work what he was doing in his sign painting. So he meticulously selects paint and sign material and considers the style that best suits the type of business he is working for. The well-crafted appearance of his sign symbolizes his dedication to his trade. So here, his quality work symbolizes what? His dedication to his trade. So what was the quality work he used to give for his customers made him a very good sign painter. The customers were appreciating him for the wonderful work he was doing in sign painting. So all the signs what he used to make, that indicates how good he was at his work. And his craftsmanship is being shown as a symbol in this particular book. And that is what I would like to say, that symbols are also very important, which convey a very, very meaningful things at one point of time. So signs are recurring symbol throughout the book. Raman is very particular about how he approaches his work and has many strong opinions about how his signs should look. He meticulously selects paint and sign material and considers the style that best suits the type of business he is working for. The well-crafted appearance of his signs symbolizes his dedication to his trade. Next comes the Raman's books. As we all know, Raman's had a habit of reading books at his leisure time. And what does the symbols Raman's book symbolize? So Raman reads a number of Western authors, including Dickens, Plato, and Gibbon. He spends a lot of his day reading in his room and feels a strong attachment to his books as they remind of his time at school. The books symbolize his connection to Western culture and partially explain why he has more and modern ideas than people like his aunt or the villagers. So, Raman had the good habit of reading books like of the famous authors like Dickens, Plato, and Gibbon. So he spends most of his day reading in his room and feels a strong attachment to his books as they remind of his time at school. So the books symbolize his connection to Western culture and partially explain why he has more modern ideas than people like his aunt or the villagers. So Raman reading good books of authors, famous authors like Dickens, Plato, and Gibbon shows that he had more connectivity towards Western culture, and maybe that was also one reason why he was opposing his aunt's traditional views, as his aunt was very traditional and superstitious and she wanted Raman also to follow it. But Raman, being a broad-minded person, reading good books, had more of Western culture and he was against these traditions and superstitions. So the books in this particular novel symbolizes Raman's, more connection to Western culture and partially explain why he is against the old traditions and culture which his aunt was following. Then key, that is house key symbol. At the end of the novel, Raman throws away the key he was going to give to Daisy. So at the end, when we go through the final pages of the novel, The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan, we get to know that Daisy wants to continue her family planning campaign again, as she wanted to go and address the women in a particular village where the overpopulation was skyrocketed, and she wanted to create more awareness among the women in that particular village. So she didn't wanted to marry Raman and moved into his house. So Raman, he had a very happy feeling that now Daisy is going to come back to his house, and that was the reason why he, readied his house with keeping all the old statues what his aunt was keeping in a cupboard. So much so that he thought he wanted to modernize his house. But at the thought of Daisy continuing her campaign further without moving back into Raman's house, upsets Raman's mind. So at the end of the novel, Raman throws away the key he was going to give to Daisy. So he was all had that mindset that he wants to give, like handing over the responsibility to his wife. So that was his mindset. So, but when Daisy says that she's not going to move into a house now only because she's going back on a campaign again, so this upsets Raman and he throws his house keys into the pond, into the fountain. The key symbolized the future he assumed they would share. So, what exactly the key here symbolizes? So, he had in a mindset that Daisy is going to move into his house and he's going to have a very beautiful future ahead with her. So, but that, made him, very sad when she said that she's not going to move into house. So, the key here, the key symbolized the future he assumed they would share. By throwing it in the fountain, he shows that he has given up on the possibility that his home is now, both literally and figuratively, no longer open to her. So that actually he tells at the end, my house is open for you. So once you come back, and if you want to move into my house again and into his life, he says you can come back. But in this, when he throws the keys into the fountain, it is so much so that he has lost that hope of Daisy coming back into his life or into his house. Now, overpopulation. So what does it exactly depict in this novel, when Daisy keeps on telling that due to overpopulation she is being she's going to go and create awareness among the women about the growing overpopulation, and what are the family planning methods she needs to implement. She wants to create, the women has to implement to reduce the population. So that is very much shown in this novel. Overpopulation is also a recurring motif in the novel. Daisy observes that the rapid growth of families in villages has put a significant strain on the resources of the country. So when she gets to know that due to overpopulation, the resources are getting depleted, the natural resources are getting depleted, then she makes up her mind to to create awareness among women about the family planning methods or birth control methods, so that to some extent she can contribute towards this growing overpopulation. She can reduce to a certain extent the growing overpopulation. So here overpopulation is a word that is being shown in this novel, as that was the main reason why Daisy takes up her family planning campaign. That made her to take up this family planning campaign. So in her view, people are having more children than they can afford or properly care for. So that is very, very much causing a great challenge to the human mankind. Beyond their limit, if they have more children, it is very difficult to fulfill all the children with the basic amenities or basic requirements what they need in life. So that she got into mind that because women have more children, and that may cause a great concern to the children in future course of time. So here R.K. Narayan shows how this issue has reached the point of contention because of its impact on the well-being of individual families and local food and water supply. So R.K. Narayan has depicted in this novel, or has portrayed in this novel, how overpopulation is going to cause a great challenge to the well-being of a human mankind, because he cannot fulfill all the basic requirements if at all he or she has a large family. So that is very much shown in this particular novel, The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan, by portraying the Daisy's very good service of doing the family planning campaign in villages and creating awareness among women about how to control population by implementing family planning methods. Next, Daisy's name symbol. What is Daisy's names? What exactly it symbolizes? As we know, Raman's aunt remarks that Daisy's name indicates her lack of faith in traditional values, as it is a Christian name. So Daisy is a word. So Daisy is a name. So when Raman goes and tells his aunt that he's going to marry Daisy, and that really upsets his aunt because she's a non-Hindu. And here Rama, by the very name of the word Daisy itself, aunt thought that she's not going to follow any traditions, or she's not going to do any household work. So Raman's aunt remarks that Daisy's name indicates her lack of faith in traditional values, as it is a Christian name. Daisy later reveals she turned her back on Hinduism after her family nearly forced her into an unhappy marriage. She says how unhappy her childhood was when her father forced into an arranged marriage, and that was also a reason why she came out from her house at an young age and started working for the women. So it is unclear whether or not this is her given name, and it appears likely that she changed it herself. So we don't know whether it is the name given by her father, by her parents, or as she has got it in her days when she was working. But it's not that clear, but though it is not addressed explicitly in the text. So in this way, her name is a symbol of her rebellion against Hindu norms. So Daisy was a modern woman, and she had that modern mindset, and she didn't wanted to follow the traditional values and superstitions, and she was not believing about the myths and the disbeliefs. So that was very much annoying Daisy, and maybe her name portrayed in this novel by R.K. Narayan symbolizes that she's a woman of rebellion nature. She was fighting against the women, particularly. She wanted to create awareness among the women how superstitions and traditions are causing a challenge to their health issues. So that is very important, and it has been portrayed in this novel by R.K. Narayan. So Daisy's name is a symbol what R.K. Narayan tries to portray, that her name is a symbol of her rebellion against Hindu norms. Then holding a knife like an assassin, simile. Simile means it is like comparing something with something. Like, for example, like we say, her face is white as snow. So it's something like, comparing something with something, and that is called as simile. So here, holding a knife like an assassin. So the assassinator who kills somebody will hold a knife like her. So here, Raman thinks back on his former customers sorely. What about the government hospital surgeon who flourished his knife like an assassin and made money and acquired the much coveted building sites beyond the railway crossing? So here particularly it has been compared to a doctor who uses knife at the time of surgery. So he compares it like, see, just by using knife as a surgeon in a hospital, he has made a lot of money and acquired a much coveted building sites beyond the railway crossing. So, but when he is working hard so much as a sign painter, he is not getting money. So, this comparison of the hospital surgeon to an assassin suggests that, see how he compares the hospital surgeon to an assassin is that he is violent and ruthless in his business dealing. So, he says that, but it is not all, but it is the mindset of Raman that is being shown in this novel by R.K. Narayan. So he just tries to compare it. Then, like a zoologist. So here, while Raman is with Daisy, he notices the cold way she observes him. So he studied her face for a moment to detect, if possible, some encouragement. But she looked businesslike and detached like a zoologist watching an ant. So this simile depicts Daisy's clinical manner of speaking and interacting. So Daisy was a woman who was a very keen observer. She could make out the behavior of Raman, that he has something, he was liking her, and maybe that was the reason why he wanted to get closer to her. So she had a very keen observation on Raman's behavior and move. And here that is what, while Raman is with Daisy, he notices the cold way she observes him, and he studied her face for a moment to detect, if possible, some encouragement. But she looked business-like and detached like a zoologist watching an ant. This simile depicts Daisy's clinical manner of speaking and interacting. She treats Raman like an object of study and not a person. Then climbing the tamarind tree, I think metaphor. So metaphor is a word which is used in an imaginative way. For example, climbing the tree, tamarind tree. So Daisy refers to a proverb while describing her night spent sleeping in a tree. When you are married to the devil, you must be prepared to climb the tamarind tree. So this is how she compares. So it's an imaginative way of thinking of Daisy on the night when they were returning back in the cart to Malgudi. So when the ox was injured and it was taken for a medical assistance, so at that point of time they were alone in the cart, and Raman tries to hold her hand when they were sleeping, and she didn't like it, and she moves away from the cart. So morning when she comes back and Raman asks where you were, then she says, I was on a tamarind tree because a tiger had come. So this is how he compares. So Daisy refers to a proverb while describing her night spent sleeping in a tree. When you are married to the devil, so you must be prepared to climb the tamarind tree. So here she refers, married to a devil means she is with the person, that is Raman, who really loves her, but he wanted to show his love through some means of actions like holding her hand, which Daisy did not like. So she says, like, if you are married to the devil, you must be prepared to climb the tamarind tree. So you must be ready, prepared for everything. So the proverb refers to the idea that one has chosen a dangerous life, one has always to be prepared to escape. So this metaphor illustrates that Daisy does difficult, challenging work, and as a result, sometimes has to act quickly to evade disaster. Then, like a general. So Daisy is described in the following way before setting out on a 3-year-long journey across India. She was like a general planning a campaign. This simile gives a strong impression of her relentless attention to detail and passionate drive for the cause of family planning. Then, dented armor. Raman begs Daisy to stay with him at the end of the novel, and he notices that she starts to get upset. After seeing this, Raman feels pleased that he had dented her armor. So, this metaphor, that dented her armor, describes how he momentarily hurt her feelings and forced her to show emotion, revealing that she did really love him, even if she couldn't spend her life with him. So, when she says that she wants to go further on a family planning campaign to a village where the overpopulation was skyrocketed. So at that point of time, he gets to know that she's not loving, but actually Daisy will be loving Raman. Then, hope you all have understood the very important symbols, allegory, then metaphors and simile in this particular session. So In the coming session, I'll be explaining about the irony and imagery that is used or portrayed in this particular novel, The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan. Hope you'll have understood the explanation of the important symbols, the simile, and the metaphors that we come across in this wonderful novel, The Painter of Science by R.K. Narayan. Thank you.